Welcome back to Exotic Car Play Place, everybody. Thanks for coming in. And today we're going to have a little treat. Now that I've driven the two M5s, the standard M5 and the M5 competition, both of the F90 generations, is it really worth spending the extra $8,000 US to get the competition? Let's talk about it now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with Exotic Car Play Place. And so before we get into it, first point of business, if you guys are a current subscriber, thanks a lot for coming back, guys. You're really going to like today's information. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there. That's going to get you in on a lot of great BMW and exotic car content, amongst many other cars. Anyway, so now that I've had seat time in the F90 generation of M5s, both the standard model and the competition, I can share with you some of the information and some of the insights that I have to help you judge whether you want to splurge and spend the $8,000 to buy the competition over the standard M5. Now, the standard M5 has a retail MSRP base price of about $104,000 US, while the competition version has a $112,000 tag to it as a base price. So a differential of about $8,000. Where does that money go? What does it get you, and what sort of value do you see in that? So as we move around the vehicle, we try to identify the different areas cosmetically where it becomes obvious that you're driving the competition. After all, for $8,000, you want to know that you have something that stands it out above the rest. Well, you have badges here and you have badges there. One in particular is the one that stands out on the rear trunk lid right next to the M5 logo. That's one to let that guy behind you know that you're driving a serious piece of equipment. Then you just have the other little subtle touches in the door well and the like. So a few other touches, cosmetically very subtle, but they let you know that you're driving the competition. What else do you actually get for that extra dollar? Well, the standard M5 has 600 horsepower, bang on the money, while the M5 competition has 617 horsepower, up 17 ponies from the base model. Can you feel it in the seat of your pants? Generally speaking, no, you can't. Driving both these cars, it's such a similarity in the straight line performance that you really don't feel the difference. As a matter of fact, the torque figures are identical as well. So you really don't feel a massive differential in straight line performance. Very. I think ultimately where you see it is if you stretch the car's legs on a long run, extremely long straight on the Nürburgring. And the difference between the two is 617 horsepower versus 600 horsepower in the standard car. They both have similar torque figures, and 0 to 60 mile per hour time on the new competition is 3.0 seconds flat, 10.9 seconds in the quarter mile at about 131 miles per hour. Now, funny thing is, all those numbers are virtually identical on the standard car. So then you wonder, because the standard car is actually 26 pounds heavier than the competition, why are these numbers so comparable? Well, let's just say if you were stretching the legs of both of these cars, by the time you hit 150 miles per hour, the competition has an edge of close to 1 second. Now, that's not a huge, vast difference, but there is a slight difference. There's other things too that stand out for me in the competition. It's not just about the straight line performance, which we know is almost a wash because the standard car is very comparable. Other things, the competition offers you an option that you can engage the sport exhaust, and it rumbles, it snaps and crackles and pops. It's far more aggressive sounding than the standard M5, which coincidentally does sound really crisp, but the competition just gives it that extra pop. You can scare the hell out of that guy in his minivan next to you at the lights just by blipping the throttle a couple of times. It really can just pop and whistle. So it's a great little feature that, again, makes the car known. You get people staring at you from across the roadways, the intersections, they hear that car. It's very obnoxious in a good way. You could really make it obvious that you have something awesome out there with the snap and the snarl of the exhaust system. What else does it do? The biggest, most significant difference between the standard M5 and the competition M5 is in the handling. That's right, the handling is a totally different ball of wax. Number one, the competition adjusts the front camber of the wheels outward slightly so it has better bite and quicker turn-in. Better responsive handling. Anti-roll bars modified. The rear suspension is significantly changed in that they got rid of the rubber bushings and replaced it with ball joints. So it's actually a more rigid back end by a long shot than the standard car. The springs on the competition are also beefed up and more aggressive. They're about 10% stiffer than the standard car. The adaptive dampers have also been modified so they work better with this setup. And the engine has much stiffer motor mounts. So the motor doesn't move around as much in the chassis. The whole package is stiffer. Everything, suspension, engine mounting, front end, back end, camber is a little stiffer. Everything is beefed up, stiffer, stronger, more aggressive, and more dialed in. So while it's not a race car, the difference between sport mode and comfort mode is less in the competition because the car is already set up on stiffer, things that aren't necessarily adjustable. Whereas the standard car is more of a Jekyll Hyde where you put it in comfort mode and it's very soft and relaxed. And when you dial it up to most aggressive mode, it becomes more of a differential. It becomes more obvious that the car is a hot rod. So then you ask about the brakes. Well, we're talking about the same brakes on both. Now, carbon ceramic is an upgrade for about $8,500. Is it worth it? It's always worth it in my mind. Let's just say, from an M5 perspective, you're buying an M5 because it is an M5. It's the fastest, most badass sedan on the market today. It's the Autobahn Cruiser. It is the car of cars. It's the ring taxi. It's all of that. It's the fast car from A to B. It's also going to haul your family and friends in luxury and comfort at 150 miles per hour. So if you've got that car already, why not go for the absolute best in the moment, which is the M5 competition? And yes, if I can summarize, that $8,000 upgrade is definitely worth the tax of admission. So thanks for coming out, everybody. If you like this video, make sure you hit that link down there. That's going to take you to my full review of the recent M5 competition drive. I hope to see you guys there. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.